Welcome to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast urging you to let it go and don't look back. With nationally acclaimed professional organizer Christine Stone and self-proclaimed hot damn mess radio and TV personality Eden Kendall.
Welcome, everybody, to Uncluttered and Unfiltered. I'm Eden Kendall, and with me is the new grandmother, Christine Stone, professional organizer of Neatly Designed. Do you feel different? Because the last time we talked, you were not yet a grandma.
I feel so different. I cannot explain it. I feel emotionally different. I just feel like, I even wrote this down. I feel like there's new meaning in the world now. Like I kind of get everything. It's like the end of the puzzle where you kind of really understand what it's all about. And all my friends were saying, you just don't know. You just don't know what it's going to be like. It's going to be so great. And I was like, I was a stay-at-home mom. I did my thing. I had a career later in life. So I was like, I was excited, of course, who isn't? But, I was like, I did my job, did it really well. And, I'll be a grandma, but nothing like I expected. Just like all my friends said, they were like, you just wait. I can't explain it. It just was, all you grandmas out there know exactly what I'm saying.
Early days, I said, we should, when the baby comes, we should do an episode on you becoming a grandma. And you said, no, that's just going to be boring for people. I don't think so. And then you were more easily convinced once it happened because you realized that there is something legitimately there to talk about. But also, I want to say that to me, who is not yet a grandmother, I'm fascinated by this and I'm enjoying seeing it through your eyes so much that I really do feel like this is a great subject. But I did think, if you don't mind, among the things we're going to talk about today, you're going to get some tips from our listeners because we have our wonderful Facebook Uncluttered and Unfiltered Ladies Only private group, and everybody's invited to join that. And the people that have posted their advice to you because you asked.
Yes, I asked for all grandmas out there to give me some of their tips.
And there are some lovely, lovely sentiments there. But let me do this first. I have a list here, and some of them are touching, some of them are funny, of things you're a grandmother when.
Okay.
And I want to make sure to credit Tammy Keith, who must be a blogger in Arkansas.
Tammy.
So these are from her. Okay. You're a grandmother when that you thought were cheesy and ridiculous, like Mimi or I'm a grandmother. I don't see you doing that, but I don't see
me doing that,
to it.
But I could soften to it. You're right. You do know me, Eden.
Mm-hmm. This one, I believe, fully applies to you. You're a grandmother when baby items just jump in your cart when you are shopping and you have no control or willpower over it.
That is 100% me. 100%.
You're a grandmother when you take your cell phone everywhere, ready to show pictures to anyone who asks.
That is definitely me.
Of course. You make a mental note when people don't ooh and ah appropriately, and you will never forget.
I have to say I'll forgive him during the newborn phase, but as he gets older, because he's so cute, you're right. I might take mental notes on that.
This is one that says you've never had a Facebook page before, but you have. Let's see. You finally understand all of those silly sayings embroidered on pillows, like if I knew grandchildren were this much fun, I would have had them first.
Well,
that makes sense.
I hear everybody says that, and I have to say it's true.
And I'll just leave you with these final two because I just think that they are so funny. Your children are actually thanking you now, and I know you mentioned that.
Oh, yeah.
So your children are thanking you for how difficult it is to be a mom. And also, you are just extra proud at what a good parent your child is because maybe it means you did something right.
Well, okay, so I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So that one gets me because that's one thing I was totally caught off guard with. When my daughter took to it like immediately and was this amazing, like,
Mommy.
Protective mommy. I mean, I think that's just something no one really talked about that beforehand. And I was beaming with pride. Like, yes, I did do a good job because she's picking up kind of where I left off as being someone who just adores everything about him, is calm, is just the role fit her perfectly. And to see that just melted my heart because I did not expect to even think about that. That was something that came out of nowhere for me. I mean, also, like I said, people warned me and I didn't really think about it. I'm like, whatever. And then when it got to be, the minute we arrived, you forget I have daughters. So I don't know how it is when you have sons, but when you have daughters, it's different because they are looking to their mother. Is this normal? Is this right? Should this be happening? Like you're a doctor, even though I'm not. And so the minute I arrived, I felt like anxiety. Like, okay, now here it is. It's really happening. And all you really think about, in my opinion, is your own baby. I kept telling my husband, we need to be there for in case anything happens with her, if she needs us, because you don't really think about the new baby when you still have your baby there. So I was caught off by that too. It was like all I could think about was, how is she feeling? How is she doing? Which I can't wait until you experience this because it's just bizarre. I mean, the whole thing to me was just an out-of-body experience. So it all went great, and everybody's happy. And so a few things I learned is, number one, I have to learn how to stay in my lane. That was very important because, when he got his days and nights mixed up, I was like, he has his days and nights mixed up. And she's like, no, he didn't. And I'm like, oh, God, yeah, he does. And then, of course, the next day she said, oh, my God, he has his days and nights mixed up. And I'm like, yeah, I did have 2 kids, but you got to stay in your lane. You can't give too much advice, even though
Mm-hmm.
You've had,
yeah.
Exactly when when the diaper needs to be changed, when the baby is fussy for a different reason, because we've had kids.
Let me ask you if the dynamic is the same as it would be in our situation. Did Mitch have to kind of look at you and give you the whole don't say anything signal?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a signal for that, or is it just a look?
His eyes.
Don't say it.
Or, he'll have a saying that he always says, like, it's going to be fine. It's, in other words, let them alone, let them do their thing. And speaking of husbands, that's another thing that came out of left field. I have never seen somebody have a rebound memory of babies, holding them, burping them, than my husband. And I did not expect that. You know how men are with newborns? They're like, yeah, give them to me when they're like 3 and they can talk,
Yeah.
I mean, it was everybody fighting over holding him. It was constant.
I'm looking at this picture that you posted on our Ladies Only Facebook page, the one that I keep inviting everyone to, because it's just, when you hear some of these comments, you'll understand why we're so passionate about it. I would say it's one of my favorite things about
I absolutely
doing this podcast.
Agree.
So in this picture, though, you see Christine gazing at this beautiful baby with a full head of hair. But Mitch is looking too, but you almost can see the beginnings of him saying, oh, who's your good baby? Yeah. Like his face is all in that mode. I was trying to guess what he might be saying when I saw the picture, and I thought he's saying, who's your grandpa?
Yep.
Oh, you got this.
Yep. That is something I never, and everyone's like, oh no, I already imagined him being, I didn't. When you live with someone, I thought, oh, he's going to be great when he takes him to the beach. And when they're
thinking about later.
I'm thinking later, but he was like, you've been holding him all day. I want to hold him. You know what I mean? Like everyone was fighting over him. And to see my other daughter who flew in as an aunt.
Oh yeah.
It was absolutely the sweetest thing. Just the happiest
celebration of life ever. Love it so much for you. So you asked our folks over on our Facebook page for advice. And I got to say, the one that stood out to me, because I just think that there are so many different ways to be a grandmother. There's the long distance kind. Right. There's the very close live next door kind. So ultimately, everybody's going to be different. But Dina said, My best advice is to be as present as you're able. The beginning of your grandma legacy starts now. I have 3 beautiful grandchildren that I see every Monday. They have a room set up in our home for the occasional sleepovers, and so they know they have a space in our home and our hearts. Enjoy this beautiful journey. And that's just one way of being a grandma. That's local.
Right.
But there's a whole other part of it too. And now we are at a time where technology allows you
to FaceTime.
To FaceTime. So that wasn't anything that my mom was able to do with my kids when they were this young. So that's going to be interesting.
We've already done it a million times, and I've only been back, a couple days. I mean, because they do grow up so quickly. Like from when we left to now, he's starting to look like a little man. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm like, how is this so quick? And I've also given my daughter the advice of enjoy every minute, because you're going to blink and he is going to go to college. And you don't believe it, but it's true. So I pulled out all these photos of her as an infant. And so because they wanted to compare with the new baby, which it's her twin, but a boy.
And by the way, Christine was able to put her fingers on those photos
Absolutely.
Immediately because she organized them.
Yes. It said Hannah newborn. Exactly. Thank you, Eden. And so I pulled them out and I sent them to her, and I said, when I was going through your newborn pictures, I literally felt this, where did the time go? I look at these photos and it's like yesterday, but it's not. So my advice is, because, they don't sleep through the night at a week old. So, just sink it in, let it just be what it is, enjoy it, because every week's a new week, every month's a new month. And, one day you'll look back and you'll be like, gosh, I'd give anything to hold that baby. That's how I felt about my kids. The one thing I said to myself is, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't wish away. Oh, I wish they would sleep through the night. I wish they would walk. I wish they would talk. You're always wishing away until they're older and you're like, why'd I do that?
Yes.
It's called sleep exhaustion, really.
Right.
But
and we all have those thoughts as parents.
Yes.
Thinking back to, there are like blocks of time in my kid's life where it's like, I wouldn't be able to tell you at which age this happened, at which age that happened, because it all just kind of blends together and blends. So being able to be present and be in that moment as much as you humanly can, as a parent, as a grandparent, as a sibling, these are things to think about. So what are some other?
Well, one thing, since you and I are very real on this podcast about being over 50, I can't tell you how exhausted I was. I was physically, emotionally exhausted. Having babies is definitely for the young. I mean, because I just would go back and pass out. I mean, holding the baby for a while, your shoulder starts to hurt. I mean, little things that you're like, wow,
Yeah,
when I held my babies, that didn't happen, and it's true. I mean, I'm a 60-year-old woman, and my younger daughter said, I better hurry up because God only knows what's going to happen when I have kids. Because I'm like, God, I got to switch shoulders, because it's true. I'm not 28 like when I had my first one, and it's different. And I can only imagine chasing after a toddler boy. I mean, that in itself will be interesting when we get to that phase. So it's just accepting, oh, wow, I'm older. Not old, but older. And this isn't as easy as it was back then. I don't look or feel like a grandma, but I'm a grandma.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
what are we going to be called? Do we
I'm
know?
Cece.
Cece.
I'm
Okay. And what will
Cece.
Mitch be?
He's Papa.
Papa. I love it. And what about the other set of grandparents? Do we know yet?
I don't know yet. I don't know what they've decided on.
Are you going to be the hottest grandma?
I hope to be. I've already talked to him and said, Cece is high maintenance.
Yeah.
Cece likes the air conditioning.
Yeah.
I mean, Cece is the grandmother that will play Legos inside the AC, and then Papa's the one that will take them out in the 90-degree Florida heat to go swimming. And everybody has their forte. I'll be baking with them. You see what your roles are as a grandparent. So
I think it's nice to have very different grandparents.
Right.
I had, with my two grandmothers, I had one that lived in Manhattan and never drove a car her whole life, always had a manicure, got her hair done every week. And then I had another grandmother that on my mom's side that was in the suburbs, never worked. I think it's nice to have some different kind of, and plus this kid's nursery is going to be well organized.
It already
is, but for the rest of his life,
yes,
he'll have his toys all in the right place. He'll be good. He'll be good to go.
Which my daughter now appreciates the organizer side of me, because I redid a room they had in their house and created the nursery, and her husband, which now that he is on my thoughts, totally appreciated transforming this dreary, dark guest room into an amazing little boys' nursery. So they were very grateful for that. But on the note of my son-in-law, I also think you're not prepared to see the man your daughter married as being such an amazing, loving husband to his wife, which is your daughter, and an amazing, amazing father. I just was so blown away by the love he had for my daughter. And really in this world, isn't that all we
That's all we can hope for our kids.
Yes, that's all we can hope for.
They are with a partner that respects and cherishes them. But what I was going to ask you is if your son-in-law now felt even more like family than he ever did. Now, when someone gets married, you think, yes, you're family, but you don't have that same feeling of it's a blood relative. But now it's almost like,
he's a blood relative.
He's a blood relative now because you share the blood with the baby. I just think that's where it really becomes solid.
It becomes solid. And when I left, I had to express my gratitude for how much he was there through everything and not leaving her side. I mean, I felt comfortable leaving because of who he is as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that's, as a girl mom, is so, so important for my husband and myself. So there were so many lessons learned. It was an amazing, amazing experience.
Well, we're all so happy for you. It's been very exciting. When you left, she had an induction date on the books. And I don't know where my brain was that I thought I'd be hearing something by that evening, but in some cases that does happen. But then when I didn't hear anything, I was getting a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
And then, so I finally reached out and you're like, still no baby by Wednesday. And I thought, oh Lord, please don't let this become, any kind of problem. And I know that there were some harried moments there, but everybody's healthy and
everybody's healthy and great. And I just have to say, everybody, you were right. Number 2, this Facebook group, I just loved hearing everything you had to say. It really, especially when I was sitting around, with nothing to do, just reading everybody's comments. I just love this group and how we can all support and be there for each other with tips, advice, just comments, anything. So thank you, everybody, for all your support. I really appreciate it.
And more on that in just a moment, because we do want everybody listening to know how to, I'll get to that in just a second, but I have to ask you this question because it happened to me with my mom. Did you find that there were some new inventions out there gadgets that you didn't have when you were a mom that you couldn't believe? Like the diaper genie blew my mother away. Yeah. She couldn't believe it. And I don't even know what they have now to dispose of your diapers, but who knows? Like the apps and the whole.
If I had $1 for every time I said they didn't have that when you were little, I'd at least have $1,000 right now because I must have said that 100 times each day. I mean, I had to have her husband show me how to use things. They have every gadget app known to mankind. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Every different kind of stroller. Yes, nothing's the same, by the way. Nothing. I mean, there really isn't anything except a rocker, a changing table, and of course a crib. Those have kind of stood the test of time, but not what goes in a crib. It's all different in that aspect as well. So a lot has changed. And I learned you do what they say. Like back in the day, you could put the baby on the stomach. Right. You don't do that now. So I just asked asked. I did not assume anything,
Right.
nothing. As I said, I've raised my children. This is her child, and I have to stay in my lane. Not my monkey, not my circus.
Right. And when the second baby comes along and they're not so, insistent on doing everything exactly that, you can then be like,
Yeah.
So getting back to that lovely Facebook group we mentioned, early on when we were learning about podcasting, we're like, okay, at the end of the podcast, we'll ask you to subscribe, leave reviews. All of these things are very helpful for our search engine stuff. But I got to say, of all the things we really want you to do, it's join that group.
Yes.
We love it so much. It's very easy to find us. It's uncluttered and unfiltered, ladies only. And if you have a friend in the group, you'll immediately be authorized to get in. If you don't, just go ahead and click like you want to join and we'll come through and approve.
Yes. So let's all chat about everything. I love it.
It's nice to go into any episode with feedback on what you guys want to hear, and also to be able to deliver your great advice. And if anybody else is finding themselves where Christine is right now, where you're about to welcome or you've recently welcomed a new grandbaby, we need photos.
Yes.
We need you to post some photos. So maybe that's the next thing we ask is for everyone to post photos of their grands on our Facebook page. But in the meantime, with all things, whether it's the way you used to raise your child or the way you think about things in general, you can let it go.
And don't look back.